Hi everyone, good evening. So I'm here for the Yuktahaar Project number 2 and as everyone knows, आज का topic है constipation. I have of course addressed this topic quite extensively in my book, but I thought I should do a separate session on it because there were a lot of queries when we had asked in the beginning कौन से topics पे you want me to speak. So constipation was also one of the most wanted and demanding topics. So here we are discussing constipation today. So let us first understand what constipation is, because when I am consulting with clients, मैंने ये देखा है कि लोगों को constipation, what exactly it is, that is also not clearly defined. So we say it's constipation when there are these 4 things. Number 1 is you're passing your bowels less than once in a day. Okay? तो बहुत लोग हैं जो आते हैं बोलते हैं नहीं पर एक ही बार होता है. So एक ही बार होता है, but if you're passing your poop daily, even if it's just once in a day, you cannot call it constipation. Okay? And then there are a lot of people who say कि I don't pass it the first thing in the morning once I wake up, but I pass it later, like after breakfast or after taking my herbal tea, which is there in my book. So after they consume the herbal tea or after they consume the breakfast, they would probably pass their first bowel of the day. So again, जो first bowel of the day, of course it's best कि ideal यही है कि आप morning में उठें and आप उठते ही you go for your bowel movement. But अगर वो नहीं हो रहा है and if you're passing it at any other time, that does not still qualify as constipation. Passing it at any other time is not constipation, as I said, but of course it's related to your circadian rhythm, your gut clock, because the timing is haywire. Right? So it's not that you're having constipation, it's just about the timing, and that largely depends अगर आपके सोने का टाइम बदलते रहता है रात में, अगर आपके मील टाइमिंग्स बदलते रहते हैं. So if you're not following a routine, a set routine of eating, of your meal times, of your sleeping, then obviously in the morning also your bowel movement ka timings will vary. It could be first thing in the morning as soon as you get up, or it could be later once you eat something. But having said that, you cannot call that a constipation. The second thing is, if your stools are hard, then that's a sign, that's a condition of constipation. And because the stools are hard, you strain when you pass your bowel movements. And the fourth is that after passing your bowel movement, you do not feel completely empty. You do not feel completely eliminated. You feel that, it's still incomplete and I still would want to go again. So when we have these 4 conditions, which what I said, passing less than 1 bowel movement per day, less than 1 ka matlab hai not passing any bowel at all in one day. The second is hard stools. The third is straining in order to pass your bowel movements. And the fourth is having a feeling of incomplete elimination. So ये जब 4 होता है, then you can say that you're constipated. Okay, now why is constipation important? Of course, firstly, it makes you very cranky. If you're constipated, you just don't feel good. You feel very cranky and all of those things. That is, of course, there. But what I'm trying to present here is the larger picture. And the larger picture is this, that a lot of the chronic symptoms or a lot of even severe and serious diseases have been seen to have a connect with constipation. If you are doing everything, not able to lose weight, if you're having constant headaches, migraines, if your skin breaks out, acne, your hair doesn't feel good, all of this, iska karan, iska root constipation में होता है. So most often I have this kind of a form which I ask my clients to fill it up before we get on a one-on-one consultation. और उस फॉर्म में बहुत कुछ लिखा रहता है कि ये फील हो रहा है, ये सिम्टम्स है, ये तकलीफ है, but they never mention constipation as one of the problem, because Western science doesn't really teach us to consider constipation as such a big problem. धीरे धीरे स्पेशली लोगों को जिनको chronic constipation, it becomes a part of life. which is very unfortunate, and they don't see it as a problem any longer. And when I get on the first consultation with them, and then I really ask them ki bhai, do you have constipation, do you have these conditions, these 4 conditions, the answer 99.9% is a yes. So that is something which is very unfortunate. Constipation has been linked to even heart diseases. A lot of people who have had heart attacks in the morning, early morning, which has happened in the bathroom, these all have been attributed to constipation, chronic constipation. I'm not saying constipation which was there only for a day, but chronic constipation for years. So even mental, anxiety, stress, all of these, depression, all of these things do have a connect with constipation. So constipation is very, very important कि उसको आप एड्रेस करो, उसको आप एड्रेस करो और उसको आप एक लॉन्ग टर्म रिलीफ पे जाओ. बिकॉज इन वेस्टर्न साइंस व्हाट हैपेंस, नीदर डू दे address constipation the way they should, which I said is like connected to all the important parameters and aspects of life. And the other thing is even try to give any long-term solution out of it. So they would only probably put you in a laxative and ask you, okay, do you have this laxative, and that is it. But constipation needs to be addressed at a much bigger picture. Long-term relief is important. The other thing is that we need to understand that it is passing your bowel, passing your poop is one of the most natural ways of detoxifying. तो हमारे बॉडी में सिर्फ हमारा जो अनडाइजेस्टेड फूड है वही सिर्फ पास नहीं होता है when we are passing our bowels, but we are also eliminating all sorts of toxins, all sorts of bacteria, everything that is toxic in our body gets eliminated through our bowel movements, because it is one of the most natural ways of detoxifying your body. So of course my book has this complete phase 1, which is a detox phase, but having said that, the most natural way of doing it is just ensuring that you're at least passing your bowels once every day. And not only just passing your bowels once every day, it has to be effortless. You should not be straining while you do it, and when you do it you should feel completely eliminated. You should feel that this has been a complete bowel movement. You should not be feeling incomplete. So with this brief, I'll tell you certain remedies now for constipation. I would want to divide these remedies into 2. One is the ones which are long term, which I would say are lifestyle remedies, and the others which are the shorter ones, which would be like how you would see on social media as tips for constipation, कि constipation है तो क्या किया जाए, that sort of a thing. So something which is more long term, a lifestyle, I would say there are 5 points in it. One is that avoiding all sorts of ultra processed foods. Now people who are following me would know that I talk about this avoiding ultra processed food in almost all of my topic, but this is how it is. If you see in the Western world, like of course even India has become very westernized now, but if you really go to US or if you go to Europe, you will see that it is very normal for people out there to pass their bowel movements once in 2 to 3 days. It's really normal. People don't even think of it as constipation there, and therefore we see a lot of these very typical Western diseases, which of course now has come to India as well, but once upon a time food allergies, autoimmune diseases, even depression for that matter, were common in the Western countries. Of course now the scene has changed. We have a lot of these cases in India as well, but what I'm trying to say is because in the Western countries इतना ज़्यादा ultra processed food का consumption है. What do you mean by ultra processed food? Of course जिनके इंग्रेडिएंट्स लिस्ट में आप चेक करो तो कुछ ना कुछ ऐसा लिखा है जो हम किचन में यूज नहीं करते हैं. सो इट्स अ वेरी इजी वे ऑफ आइडेंटिफाइंग कि क्या कोई प्रोडक्ट अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस्ड है क्या. बट द प्रॉब्लम हियर इज दैट मोस्ट ऑफ द टाइम, और इनफैक्ट ऑल द टाइम, अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस्ड फूड इज ऑल्सो डिहाइड्रेटिंग. हैव यू एवर थॉट कि जब आप एक फास्ट फूड चेन जो रेस्टोरेंट्स होता है वहां पे जब आप बैठ के पिज्जा खाते हैं या फ्रेंच फ्राइज खाते हैं या पास्ता खाते हैं, व्हाई डू यू फील एन अर्ज टू हैव अ सॉफ्ट ड्रिंक, मे बी अ कोक और अ कोला और समथिंग लाइक दैट, बट वो खाने के 2-3 बाइट्स लेने के बाद ही यू फील एन अर्ज टू ड्रिंक समथिंग. Whereas अगर आप घर में खाते हैं and if you're having your normal fresh food, दाल चावल रोटी सब्जी, fresh घर का खाना, you never feel the need to ask for a Coke or a soft drink or something chilled to drink along with it, right? So it's simply because food which is old, stale, ultra processed, these are all very dry and very dehydrating in nature. It wants you to immediately have that Coke, therefore so that you feel nice. And anything which is dehydrating, anything which is dry is only going to increase this problem. And also people who are not having this problem, but अगर आप ऐसा ही अपना लाइफस्टाइल करते रहें जहां आप अल्ट्रा प्रोसेस्ड फूड ही खाते जा रहे हैं, then of course few years down the line you will see that just the most natural thing of passing the bowel is going to become very problematic for you. So avoiding ultra processed foods is very important. If you see animals in nature around, I'm not talking about pets, because pets को भी आजकल हम लोग इतना processed food खिलाते हैं, whether it's a dog food or a cat food. So there are problems with the pets also nowadays, unfortunately. But I'm talking about animals in nature. You would never see them having constipation simply because they don't eat anything, processed or industrialized. So that is the number one thing. The second thing is chewing your food well. खाना को अच्छे से चबाना again is a very basic thing to do. But अगर हम खाने को अच्छे से नहीं चबाते हैं, it goes inside our gut as big, particles, big chunks of food, which becomes difficult for our stomach for our gut to mobilize. If our gut cannot mobilize and churn things around, it's difficult, and therefore we kind of feel that constipation. So again, chewing your food well is extremely important. The third thing is about stress. Now, a lot of people I have seen, like clients who I work with on a one-on-one basis, if I put them to a process like a Yog Nidra, of course not one day, but if they continue doing it for many weeks, the constipation naturally just disappears in some weeks, or maybe a one month or a 2 month. So stress का constipation से बहुत बड़ा connection है. I have written a complete book on how the belly and the brain is connected. So I don't want to get into the specifics of it, but it is very important कि आप अपने stress को manage करो. We live in lives where our lives are really kind of stressful. So I'm not going to say that eliminate stress, because stress is not something that we consciously invite anyways in our lives. But what we can consciously do is try to manage it. And trying to manage it means that there are certain techniques out there which you should follow. It could be meditation, it could be pranayam, it could be just Yog Nidra. You just don't need expert skills for any of these, but what just need is consistent practice. So that is the third point, which is important. So if you're a person who is having chronic constipation, you see to it that you have certain emotional management techniques in place in your life. The fourth thing is sleep. Now I'll just give you one example. अगर आप कोई दूसरे country में जाते हो, people who travel overseas or go to a different country, उनके obviously because of the change in the timings, उनका obviously sleep timings में change हो जाता है. And the first thing they would see is when they land in the different country, the first thing they see is that they are constipated, simply because the sleep timings have gone haywire, right? So sleep is definitely very important. Lack of sleep से भी कॉन्स्टिपेशन होता है. और सिर्फ लैक ऑफ स्लीप नहीं, अगर आप अपने स्लीप टाइमिंग्स को बार बार चेंज करते रहे, आज आप 10 बजे सो रहे हो, कल 12 बजे सो रहे हो, फिर 1 बजे सो रहे हो, इवन दैट डजंट वर्क. अगेन इफ यू आर वेकिंग अप लेट, so a lot of people feel कि 8 घंटे नींद होना चाहिए, so I can still sleep at 12 and then wake up at 8 in the morning. So again, not a great idea. If you're somebody who's facing chronic constipation for months and years, then please put in some effort to sleep at a decent timing, maybe 9, 10, 11 maximum, 11 last, and then wake up at least 6 or 7 a.m. because that itself sets your gut clock and your body clock in a way that you would see that there is a change. Of course, all these things don't happen overnight, and that is the reason मैंने कहा कि ये सब lifestyle remedies हैं, ये सब short tips या remedies नहीं हैं, but these are the remedies that is going to help you in the long run. क्योंकि जो short tips हैं, जो भी मैं बताने वाली हूँ कुछ देर में, but those short tips are just like will help you in the short term. बट अगर आप ये सब चीजें जो मैं अभी बता रही हूँ इन पे अगर आप फोकस करेंगे देन यू विल एक्चुअली you will be able to solve this problem of constipation from the roots in a way that you don't get it again, in a way that it is sustainable. So this is the 4 points, and the 5th point is about alcohol. So alcohol, we all know it's very dehydrating in nature. तो अगर आपको chronic constipation है, a lot of people write to me saying कि I had millets, मैंने आपका बुक पढ़ा और मैं millets खाने लगा और खाने लगी, बट मेरा तो constipation बढ़ गया या वैसा ही है या solve नहीं हुआ and all of those things. But I really want, when I start speaking to them, most of them, even have come for my one-on-one consultation. So it's amazing that the pizzas, pastas and alcohol don't constipate, but the millets constipate. So of course I'll talk about millets and all of those things later. But what I'm trying to say is that alcohol is dehydrating in nature. So of course if you must drink, firstly I would say that don't drink at all. It really messes with your gut microbiome as well. But if you must drink, then at least ensure that you drink an equal amount of water along with your drinks. That is very important for the reason that I said that it is dehydrating in nature. Now we come to the other part of the remedies, which are 10 in number. So these remedies are again which will serve you, in the long run, but you can also think of them as quick tips or quick remedies for constipation. And the number one is of course the most important one, which is water. हम लोगों को लगता है कि हम पानी पी रहे हैं, but most of the time we are not drinking enough water. And water of course is important because when your stools are hard, when your stools are dry, when you have to strain, it means that there's a lot of dryness inside your gut, and therefore water is definitely going to help. But the thing with water is that we often don't drink the right kind of water, in the right amount and things like that. So I wanted to discuss that. Number one thing is that कितना पानी पीना चाहिए is a very subjective thing. मतलब है कि हर इंसान का जो पानी का रिक्वायरमेंट होता है वो अलग अलग होता है. जैसे कि लोगों का नींद का रिक्वायरमेंट भी अलग होता है कि किसी के लिए 7 hours is enough. There are few people, even adults, who need 9 hours of sleep. So it varies. It's a very subjective thing. तो आप कैसे पता कर सकते हैं कि are you drinking enough or not? So of course look out for certain signs and symptoms. If you're constipated, that itself is a sign that you're not drinking enough water. So that's quite straightforward. The second thing is, अगर आपका urine yellow in color है, the urine should be colorless. So if your urine has a color, that means you're not drinking enough water. Number 3 is, if you are not sweating, like बाहर का जो गर्मी है उस हिसाब से आपका sweating तो होता ही नहीं है. There are people I know who even go to the gym but they don't sweat. So if you're not sweating, like you can make out that your colleague is sweating. If you're at home, you can see your other family members sweating perhaps, but you see that you're not sweating. So that itself is a sign that you're not drinking enough water. If your mouth goes dry, your tongue goes dry, these are all signs of dehydration which you should look for. And if you have any of these signs and symptoms, then please increase the intake of water. Now, पानी भी कैसा होना चाहिए is a very important question, because we are always worried about what kind of carbs and what kind of proteins, but we never have this question because we have never been educated to even ask this question of what kind of water we should be having. So let me just give you a few pointers. The water that you should drink firstly should not be cold. This is something that I've written in my book also. I'll come back to the other guidelines, but the first thing is that the water should not be fridge ka pani. When I say cold, I mean fridge ka pani. A lot of people, when my book was newly released, asked me, "Arey, bahut garmi hai and we can't drink warm water." So you can have matka ka pani if you don't want to have warm water. If you are chronically constipated, I would still say that lukewarm water is the best water that that you can have. If it's uncomfortable because it's either too hot outside or because you just don't feel like having it, even room temperature water or matka water is fine. Ayurveda believes कि पानी भी पकना चाहिए. Even water should be cooked. Something that I've covered in chapter 5 in my book, कि पानी भी पका के पीना चाहिए. And that is why if you see in my book, when you wake up in the morning, you start with these herbal teas, because उनमें spices भी होता है, and उसमें से at least you have this at least 1 cup of water which is lukewarm, which is also cooked, and you also get some spices along with it based on the various recipes that are there in the book. But even if you don't want to do that, at least lukewarm water should be a part of your daily routine. If not throughout the day, at least first thing in the morning you can start your day with lukewarm water. The other thing is कि अगर आपको room temperature का पानी भी पीना है, then at least see to it that you're boiling the water and then letting it cool and then having that room temperature water, because in that process what you have done is you have cooked the water, and if you have cooked the water then it improves the digestion. I've written this in my book also. Many places in South India, not even just houses, if you just go to any restaurant in South India, those local restaurants, local hotels, they would not offer you room temperature pani even in the peak summer season, and we all know that South India is pretty hot, क्योंकि वहाँ पे वो culture ही नहीं है. Everywhere you go you will see that you are being offered water which is not even lukewarm, at times even hot. So there are different ways in which they cook the water. There are people who add jeera in the water, there are people who add other spices in the water and cook it, again depending on the season. तो summer season में जीरा डाल के उसको उबाल के पीते हैं. तो of course those recipes are there in the book, but just to tell you, water preferably lukewarm for chronic constipation. If not lukewarm throughout the day, then at least start your day with a glass of lukewarm water. The third thing is, if not lukewarm throughout the day, then you can go for room temperature or matka ka pani, but please avoid refrigerated cold water. दूसरा बात ये है कि पानी को जो है आपको सिप बाय सिप पीना चाहिए. डोंट गल्प अ लॉट ऑफ वाटर एक साथ. एंड प्लीज you must have heard your parents, your grandparents say that पानी को बैठ के ही पीना चाहिए. Please don't drink your water while just standing. So sit down and drink it sip by sip, and the temperature of water, as I mentioned, follow that. The other thing is about पानी कब पीना है. So if you are especially chronically constipated, it is very very important that you drink water during your meals. Right? आप जब खाना खा रहे हैं, during your meals it is important that you drink water. I say that again, drink water during your meals. There is so much of myth around this subject. A lot of people feel that no, your digestion, your digestive enzymes will get diluted if you drink water during your meals. Now it's a very very common thing. A lot of people who follow wellness or Ayurveda gurus or anybody would know that we have always known कि आपका जो पेट है उसको आधा आपको फूड से भरना चाहिए. You should eat only half the capacity of your stomach. 1/4 should be water and 1/4 should be air. Air का मतलब है you should keep 1/4 space empty. Right? Now that 1/4 space which we say should be full of water, how will that water come if you're not drinking it in between your meals? So it is important for your gut to be able to mix the food around, to be able to churn the food, that you drink water in the middle of your meals. Again, the best water to have in the middle of your meals would be lukewarm water. If you don't want to drink that, you can have room temperature, but please don't take refrigerated cold water. The best thing to do this is that you have your meal, कि मैं इतना खाता हूँ या खाती हूँ, so you eat half portion of your food and then you take few sips of water, then you go ahead eating the other portion. So taking few sips of water in between your meals is very very primary if you want to treat the problem of chronic constipation. The number 2 remedy would be green leafy vegetables. So vegetables, I know a lot of people have turned vegetarian nowadays, because a lot of celebrities probably have turned vegetarian, but in fact when I was having a talk with one of these doctors, which we also posted it on our page, and so this conversation we had before we started our live, and he said a lot of people are turning vegetarian, but vegetarian hoke bhi vegetables to khate hi nahi hai. So when you say vegetarian, where are the vegetables? So it was pretty funny, because yes, we don't have enough vegetables, and when I'm speaking specifically for chronic constipation, what I mean is green leafy vegetables. So green leafy vegetables, or even the fleshy vegetables. Which are the fleshy ones? कुकम्बर विच इज खीरा या काकड़ी जिसको हम हिंदी में बोलते हैं, या फिर हर तरह के गोर्ड्स. व्हाट आर द गोर्ड्स? गोर्ड्स हो गया बॉटल गोर्ड विच इज लौकी, snake gourd which is turiya or turai, even the bitter gourd which is the karela. So all of these gourds, jitna bhi gourd ka family hai, ash gourd, so basically all the gourd ka family ka members are very good for constipation. Green leafy vegetables, when I say, please do not confine yourself only to spinach, palak, methi. ये 2-3 वेजिटेबल्स. डाइवर्सिटी इज की. एंड जब मैं बोलती हूँ ग्रीन लीफी वेजिटेबल्स, यू शुड इंक्लूड अ लॉट ऑफ वैरायटी ऑफ ग्रीन लीफी वेजिटेबल्स. पंपकिन का लीव्स होता है, इवन कुकम्बर के लीव्स भी होते हैं. सो यू शुड नॉट जस्ट ईट द कुकम्बर बट इवन मेक, जैसे काकड़ी के पत्तों का साग. बीन्स हैं तो बीन्स, ग्रीन बीन्स आर गुड, बट ग्रीन बीन्स के लीव्स भी होते हैं. तो जितने भी मैंने ये सब बताया है इनके लीव्स भी होते हैं. So green leafy vegetables is something which will give you that adequate roughage in the diet, which will help in that peristalsis movement and will help you eliminate your bowels effortlessly. The third is about fruits. तो कौन से fruits हैं जो बहुत अच्छा है constipation के लिए? Papaya is very good. Of course, I'm talking about the ripe papaya, even ripe pineapples. These are very good. Banana is good, but there is a word of caution. अगर जो बड़ा size वाला banana है, not that, because the बड़ा size वाला banana can itself be constipating. छोटे size का banana होता है, like in Mumbai we call it the elaichi banana. In the east side of the country, the chota size ka banana is usually the malbhog kela, or even champa, I think champa bhog or something like that. So there are many varieties of bananas all over the country, but look for the smaller size ones, and of course again it should be ripe. So papaya, pineapple, banana, these are 3 great fruits for constipation. So that's number 3. Number 4 is ghee. So ghee is magical. It's one of the great foods when it comes to constipation. तो अगर आपको chronic constipation है, then आप पूरा अपना जो खाना है वो भी आप घी में बना सकते हैं. It is preferred over oil. And इसमें again the point is कि what is the quality of ghee? The quality of ghee is as I have told in my past lives also, the best one is the cultured ghee. कल्चर्ड घी कौन सा होता है? कल्चर्ड घी वो होता है जिसको आप दही से मथ कर बनाते हैं, मलाई से नहीं. तो आप दही को हैंड चर्न करते हैं. दही को हैंड चर्न करने से जो ऊपर में बटर आता है, दैट इज द कल्चर्ड बटर, व्हाइट मक्खन. और उस व्हाइट मक्खन को फिर आप हीट करेंगे तो आपको कल्चर्ड घी मिलेगा. सो दैट इज द फाइनेस्ट क्वालिटी ऑफ घी विच विल अगेन हेल्प यू इन कॉन्स्टिपेशन अ लॉट. One quick tip is that you can have a glass of warm milk at bedtime. उसमें आप आधे से 1 टीस्पून, हाफ टू 1 टीस्पून घी डाल सकते हैं, या फिर आप इवन उसमें आधे से 1 टीस्पून कैस्टर ऑयल डाल सकते हैं. एंड देन यू कैन हैव इट एट बेड टाइम, एंड दैट इज ऑल्सो गोइंग टू गिव यू अ लॉट ऑफ रिलीफ. You will see in the morning that you are really passing your bowels quite effortlessly. So that is the number 4th point. The number 5th point is about movement. Remember that we are talking about peristalsis. We are talking about movement, कि आपके gut में movement हो. तो अगर आप अपने body को ही move नहीं करेंगे, then it's very difficult to kind of see कि there's movement happening inside your intestines, your gut. They also have to undergo that movement, and for that it is important that you move your body. Of course, a structured routine exercise is definitely something which is extremely important, right? A structured exercise routine. Again, it could be yoga, cardio, whatever, but just moving your body for at least 30 minutes a day. But apart from that structured formal exercise, what is also important is that you're moving throughout the day. You're just physically active throughout the day. So that is also important. One very important thing is कि आप खाना खाने के बाद तुरंत लेटिए मत या बैठिए मत. People who are chronically constipated, it is important कि आप खाना खाते ही आप 10 minutes just do a gentle stroll. You don't have to be very brisk in your walking, but a very gentle stroll. And it could be wherever you are. You don't have to go out. So if you are in your office having lunch, you can just walk around in your office. If you're at home, you can just walk around in your house itself. It's just for a small 10 minutes and just a gentle stroll, which can happen everywhere. But it is important कि खाना खाते ही आप तुरंत वहाँ पर बैठ ना जाए, and especially you should not be lying down immediately after food. A lot of people ask me about afternoon naps. So afternoon naps, if you wish, you can take an afternoon nap. I do not recommend afternoon naps for people who are wanting to lose weight. But you know, if you're not one of those people who are looking out to lose weight, then yes, you can go for an afternoon nap, but it doesn't have to be immediately after lunch. So you take your lunch, you move around for 10 minutes, and after that you can of course retire and you can, you know, take your power nap, so to speak. So to summarize till here, first was the water that I spoke about, then the green leafy vegetables, then the fruits, then the ghee, the movement, and then you know, there are two things which I really rely upon. One is the prunes and the other is raisins. तो आप 5 to 6 prunes ले सकते हैं, उनको आप ओवरनाइट भिजा दीजिए. आप ओवरनाइट उनको भिजा देने के बाद में मॉर्निंग में आप उसको फर्स्ट थिंग इन द मॉर्निंग खाइए. जो जिस पानी में आपने भिजाया था, ड्रिंक दैट वाटर ऑल्सो. द सेम थिंग you will do with raisins. You know, with raisins, what you can do is you can take 8 to 10 raisins, you soak them overnight. I always prefer the black raisins, the seedless ones. So you soak them overnight, 8 to 10 in the morning, you have them first thing in the morning, and you drink that water also. So again, two very great things that really gives a quick relief from constipation. So these are my 7 points. And then of course the two things which I cannot, you know, end this session without speaking about them. So one is Triphala and the other is Trikatu. My book speaks so much about them, so I don't want to go ahead and telling you कि उसके क्या benefits हैं, क्या नहीं हैं. But you know, Triphala का सबसे अच्छा बात क्या है कि it is not habit forming. आप जब कोई भी laxative लेते हैं जो आपको कोई डॉक्टर देता है, it's habit forming. Habit forming का मतलब क्या है कि अगर आपने laxative जब तक आप पी रहे हैं तब तक you will pass your bowels. आपने जिस दिन बंद कर दिया उस दिन you will see that you're again back to square one. So you're you know, back to that same stage where you're constipated, stools are dry, you're, you know, having strain, you know, passing the bowel. So you're back to where you started. But with Triphala, the best thing is it is non-habit forming. And the other best part is that Triphala अपने आप में सिर्फ एक laxative नहीं है. It's a colon cleanser. It helps you to decrease your body cholesterol levels. It helps in having a good skin, good hair health. There's so many things. In fact, you know, there's a common saying in Ayurveda कि Triphala is a mother for people who do not have kids. People who do not have a mother, if they have Triphala, then Triphala acts as the mother, because for the simple reason that Triphala is so caring. It is so caring to your body. It actually addresses each and every smallest imbalance or problem that is there in your body. So we can't even just look at it as a laxative, because there's so many numerous things that Triphala does. In my book, I have written that if you are chronically constipated, then you can have Triphala 5 grams, which is 1 teaspoon, first thing in the morning when you get up. Right? So this is what I've written, and a lot of questions I've received in the past few months asking कि if we take Triphala first thing in the morning, तो हमारा जो TBBD का herbal teas हैं उनको हम कब पी सकते हैं. So I'm addressing this question right here कि अगर आप chronically constipated हैं, आप morning में उठते ही Triphala लीजिए, और Triphala लेने के बाद में आपको herbal tea का time नहीं है, because people are usually rushing for office and all that, which is completely fine. You can skip the herbal tea then. The herbal tea can come later in the day anywhere. The herbal tea ka requirement is not that it has to be first thing in the morning. Whenever you are relatively on a lighter stomach, the herbal tea can be taken. So all the amla tea, fennel tea, cinnamon tea, जितने भी ये सारे teas हैं मेरे book में, उन सबको आप समझिए लंच के 2 घंटे बाद ले सकते हैं या ब्रेकफास्ट के 1-1.5 घंटे बाद ले सकते हैं. So whenever you are on a relatively lighter stomach, you can take those herbal teas, and you can skip it as the first thing in the morning because you are having Triphala. Trikatu is great again for constipation because Trikatu has dry ginger. Now dry ginger is again a superb thing when it comes to constipation, but again Trikatu comes with a few contraindications. So अगर आपको prolonged menstrual cycle होता है, अगर आपको migraine है, अगर आपको अल्सर्स हैं, देन यू विल नॉट बी एबल टू टेक त्रिकटु. तो अगर आपको वो सब कॉन्ट्राइंडिकेशंस हैं जो मैंने बुक में लिखा है, देन द अदर ऑल्टरनेटिव इज यू कैन सिंपली टेक ड्राई जिंजर वाटर, और ड्राई जिंजर को एक कॉन्कॉक्शन के रूप में बना के आप ले सकते हैं. सो व्हाट इज द रेसिपी? द रेसिपी इज वेरी सिंपल. यू टेक वाटर, यू पुट द ड्राई जिंजर स्टिक, and then you reduce that water to half and then you drink it. So it's a very simple recipe. तो या तो आप ये ड्राई जिंजर का concoction ले लो या फिर आप त्रिकटु ले लो, दोनों में से either of the thing. And my last and the 10th point is about magnesium. So this is something that is coming from the Western medicine. A magnesium supplement taken at bedtime is shown to have very good effects on constipation simply because magnesium is a muscle relaxant. वो मसल को रिलैक्स करता है. तो आपके अगर मसल्स रिलैक्स होते हैं then obviously you kind of effortlessly eliminate in the morning. So magnesium supplement is also there that you can have. जो डाइटरी सोर्सेज हैं मैग्नीशियम के, इट इज द सेम एज व्हाट वी हैव कवर्ड टिल नाउ, जो भी मैंने आपको बताया. सो ऑल द ग्रीन लीफी वेजिटेबल्स आर डाइटरी सोर्सेज ऑफ मैग्नीशियम. प्रून्स, रेजन्स, ये जितने भी चीजें मैंने बताई है, इनफैक्ट इवन पाइनएप्पल, सो जितनी भी चीजें मैंने बताई है, दीज ऑलरेडी आर गुड डाइटरी सोर्सेज ऑफ मैग्नीशियम. But if none of these work for you, which I feel it should not happen, it should work. But if you still want an additional boost or a push, then you can even have magnesium as a supplement. So these were in all 10 tips, and I'll quickly summarize because a lot of people wrote to me saying that they would like a kind of a summary at the end. So number 1 is that passing 1 bowel movement a day is important, which is effortless, which is not hard. And long-term solution is a lifestyle remedy, which is about eating slowly, eating fresh food which is not processed, unprocessed food, sleeping on time, waking up on time. There shouldn't be deficiency in sleep, having emotional management techniques in place, and preferably not having alcohol. If you do want to have, then ensure that you're hydrating yourself while you're drinking, and that too hydrating adequately. The other 10 remedies which I said are those quick tips kind of a thing. The number 1 is of course water preferably lukewarm, not at all cold and refrigerated. Matka ka pani is fine, room temperature is fine. Boil the water and then cool it and then drink. And most important is drink water while you eat your food. Sip by sip, gulp करके नहीं पीना है. ऐसा नहीं कि एक ग्लास ही पानी आपने पूरा पी लिया, not like that. So water, green leafy vegetables was my second point. Third is about fruits like pineapple, papaya, and the small ripe banana. Number 4 is about ghee. You mix it a little, half to 1 teaspoon in warm milk and have it at bedtime, or you can do that also with castor oil. The 5th is about prunes. Raisins is the 6th. 7th is trifla. 8th is trikatu or dry ginger powder, dry ginger concoction. 9th is about moving around and especially walking around after meals, immediately after meals. And the 10th point is about magnesium supplementation. So I think I did try to cover extensively about everything that we can do to have long-term relief from constipation. And of course I would like to end it saying that please treat constipation as a big red flag. इसको आप ऐसा कुछ मत समझो कि अरे कॉन्स्टिपेशन ही तो है, चलो डाइजीन ले लिया, ये ले लिया, वो ले लिया, ठीक कर लेंगे. प्लीज डोंट टेक इट वेरी लाइटली. कॉन्स्टिपेशन कैन, एंड इट हैज बीन सीन दैट इट डज लीड टू अ lot of serious disorders and diseases, starting from autoimmune diseases to mental health to heart diseases to heart attacks to cancers and so on. So very important that you see that you really cure this problem for good. Okay, what are the questions?
Ma'am, can we eat salads in phase 1?
So salads phase 1 में अवॉइड करो तो अच्छा है. phase 1 2 हफ्तों का ही होता है, बहुत लंबा फेज तो है नहीं. और सैलेड इसलिए नहीं खाना है बिकॉज एनीथिंग विच इज रॉ, कुछ भी जो कच्चा है हम वो phase 1 में नहीं खाते हैं. So yeah, preferably no.
What oil is good for frying in constipation?
So as I said, ghee is the best. When we are talking about chronic constipation, what works the best is the ghee. So even for frying, like ghee has the highest smoking point. So I will say instead of oil, you should choose ghee.
More vegetarian protein options with low carb and low fat.
Vegetarian protein options, vegetarian or vegan?
Ma'am, vegetarian.
So vegetarian is whey, na? Whey protein is low fat, low carb, and it's vegetarian. So whey isolate, like my book also talks about. I also have a whey isolate recipe in chapter 10. मतलब whey isolate का recipe नहीं, but a smoothie जो whey isolate और बाकी चीजों से बनाया जाता है. So whey isolate is a vegetarian protein.
How to connect you for diet plan?
For diet plan, you can go to my website or you can write to us. The email ID is Yuktahaar, which is the name of the book, so quite easy to remember. Yuktahaar@munmunganeriwal.com. Munmun Ganeriwal is my name, so Yuktahaar@munmunganeriwal.com is where you can write. And even our phone number is there on our Instagram page, so you can even call during office hours.
In phase 1, after rising tea and soaked nuts and then workout, when do you recommend taking Ayurvedic supplements if breakfast is whey isolate?
The Ayurvedic supplements, if you can mention what supplements are you talking about. If you're talking about Chitrika and Daru Haldi, then you take them just before you take the protein smoothie. Your whey isolate smoothie is the breakfast. So just 30 minutes before you take the smoothie, you take the Daru Haldi and Chitrika tea.
How to cure constipation and bloating properly?
So that's why we have done this video. I have done this video giving you a complete detail on how you can cure constipation. Most of the time constipation and bloating will go hand in hand. So if you cure constipation, the bloating also comes down. And bloating के लिए भी हमने एक post किया है, which was I think a reel.
Yes.
So a reel that we had posted where again I had given few tips. तो आप वो भी देख सकते हैं. So it all depends on basically very basic points about how you time your meals, how you eat, chewing your food well, about just having basic things in place. उसमें कुछ भी बड़ा कुछ नहीं है. First get the basics in order.
Is whey isolate good for PCOS patients or does it cause further insulin resistance?
No, I don't think whey isolate causes any kind of insulin resistance, but the whole point is it might be unnecessary. When I'm saying unnecessary, इसका ये मतलब है कि आप अगर कुछ ऐसा कर ही नहीं रहे हो जिससे आपको whey isolate का जरूरत है, then why are you taking it? So, I do not think that whey isolate or, this whey protein that we talk about, and there's so much debate about it. People are not scared of having antibiotics, but they're scared of having whey protein. So that's quite hilarious in my eye because, we take random things at random times. We take alcohol, we take antibiotics, we take every damn thing, but we're never scared. But whey का जब बात आता है, everyone is scared and everyone is debating. So what I just want to say is कि it is not fatal, it is not harmful. It will not cause any insulin resistance. The insulin resistance is caused because of the n number of things we do in a lifestyle. But it might be unnecessary, it might not be required. And वो requirement हमें कैसे पता चलता है? Firstly, there should be stimulus on an activity. आप ऐसा कुछ कर ही नहीं रहे हो पूरे दिन में and you're just taking whey isolate. It's unnecessary, right? So how do you know? You know it by firstly doing a workout, doing an exercise, and then trying to see, am I able to recover well even without taking the protein smoothie? Am I able to, give my best in the next consecutive session? If these things are fine, and it simply means कि आपका exercise stimulus अभी इतना नहीं है कि आपको एक protein supplementation की ज़रूरत है. The day you start feeling that you're not recovering, there's too much of soreness, such kind of soreness that it is interfering with your daily chores, with your daily utna, baithna, daily activities, then you know that the whey isolate is important. And at that time when you take, it is not going to do any harm to you.
When to include fruits in a day?
11 a.m. to 4 p.m. is the best time to have fruits. Don't start your day eating fruits. Anything between 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. The only exception is here कि जब आप morning में उठते ही workout करते हो. So in that also what I prefer is soaked raisins or soaked almonds. If you're constipated, then the great thing would be soaked prunes also. So I would any day prefer these to a fruit. But if you do feel that no, I need to have a fruit and I want, it makes me feel good as a pre-workout, then please go for steamed version. There are a lot of people who love steamed apples with a sprinkle of cinnamon powder, steamed banana. So those kind of things is okay to have if you're having it first thing in the morning. अगर आप 11 AM to 4 PM के बीच में fruits लेते हैं, then you don't need to steam it. Yeah, I think there's one question that somebody has asked. Can diet stimulate hair regrowth in male pattern baldness along with Ayurvedic medicine? So, hair regrowth in male pattern baldness, it's a very subjective question. Depends कि कितना baldness है, what is the severity, and the most important thing is trying to find the cause of it. It could be, coming from a symptom as a PCOD. So it could be one of those umbrella of symptoms. So if this is the only symptom, or is it like occurring along with many other symptoms that are there? So if it's about PCOD, then we have done a complete PCOD video. You can go to the guide section and check that. So to answer your question, honestly, I can't give you a straightforward answer. Of course, anything which is diet, anything जो आप एक अच्छे लाइफस्टाइल से करेंगे, आपको बेनिफिट तो जरूर करेगा. Because the first thing is हम जो खाते हैं वही हमारा सेल बनता है. So your hair is also nothing but the food that you eat. So हम जो खाना खा रहे हैं वो हमारे अंदर जाके it becomes a part of you. It becomes the cells, it becomes those strands of hair that we see, it becomes those nails, it becomes a part of your skin. So everything that we have is of course actually just literally the food that we eat. तो ऑफ कोर्स अगर आप डाइट अच्छा करेंगे, इट इज गोइंग टू बेनिफिट यू. कितने एक्सटेंट तक बेनिफिट करेगा, दैट डिपेंड्स ऑन एज आई सेड सिवियरिटी ऑफ द प्रॉब्लम. आई कैन नॉट गिव यू एन आंसर विदाउट इवन नोइंग द डिटेल्स और विदाउट हैविंग अ लुक at what kind of baldness are we talking about. Okay, thank you so much everyone. I hope you find this helpful, and I'm going to meet you again for our next Friday live session with another lifestyle disease or a lifestyle disorder that I'm going to pick up, and we are going to talk about that. Thank you so much.